What is up, YouTube? This is DEFCON 3 Security coming at you from somewhere here on Spaceship Earth. So, today's topic is going to be called There is Nobody Coming to Save You, or something like that, all right? So here's the deal. I do often ask people this question when I'm engaged in a conversation for a while. Eventually, I'll get to the point where I ask somebody, so, hey, what's the next big thing? You know, like, what's the next big thing in your life? And sometimes I'll get some pretty decent answers. You know, I asked this one guy, hey, man, so, damn, what's the next big thing in your life? And they're like, well, I'm moving to Arizona. I've got 80% of my family there. And they own a business. And I'm going to be part of that business. I'm really good at marketing, and I'm going to help them grow it. Talked to another guy about a week ago, and I was like, hey man, what's the next big thing in your life? And he's like, I've got 3 cars that I don't need, and they're valued at almost $15,000 a piece. They're classic cars that were passed over to him. He's like, I figure at 15 grand each, I'll sell them. I'll get 45,000. And there's a trailer home that I want to buy in Texas. I'm going to buy that trailer home and rent it out for $1,000 a month. And with that money, I'm going to move to another country where $1,000 a month, you live like a king. And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Of course, he has his own savings account. He's accrued over the last 20, 30 years. So he's going to have this savings account plus $1,000 coming in. So, you know, when people tell me things like that, it truly fascinates me. It also motivates me. I'm like, wow, okay. You know, people are doing things and they're inventive and they know how to hustle. But that's just a few people. I will tell you right now that most people that I talk to, when I ask them, what's the next big thing? The answer is often disappointing. And I hope you're not one of those people. But if you are, then maybe this video is for you and can help kind of push you along a little bit. So just yesterday, knowing that I'd probably make a video like this today, you know, you as security, you talk to people. You talk to guards. You talk to random people that just want to know why you're all geared up the way you are. And you spend like 10, 15 minutes talking to them. And I started throwing out so what's the next big thing for you, man, in life? What do you got planned? And I started getting some disappointing answers, and it was a trend. I have some people that say, they said, yeah, man, I'm just, you know, waiting for that stimulus check to come. I heard there's going to be another stimulus check. It might be like $1,500 this time. Waiting to get that. A few people actually said, yeah, I'm just waiting for the vaccine to come out so this whole corona thing can be over, and then might start looking for a job. Had another guy that was like, yeah, I'm just waiting to start, and he's all rubbing his neck, just waiting to start school, you know, waiting for this thing to come through. I sent them a letter, haven't heard back. And I'm like, how long ago was that? Oh man, it's been like 6 months. So you sent the letter, and what's this letter for? Oh, it's to get like some sort of financial aid to start school. And yeah, man, but they haven't responded. It's been 6 months. I've had a lot of people say, yeah, I'm just, you know, with this whole economy, I'm wait for this whole election thing, waiting for the new president to come in and see how that changes things. And I start to notice this trend of people waiting for things or counting on other people or government entities or you name it to save them or to get them to that next big thing in life. I've got news for you guys. There is no Calvary coming. Nobody's going to come to save you. You are the Calvary. If you want things to change in your life, you need to take that change on your own. You need to be the Calvary, okay? It's just disappointing. I if you were to ask me what the next big thing in my life is, I honestly could tell you in full detail about 10 things that I'm looking forward to and I'm working on. It's I've got a lot of big things, and as I sit here in security thinking for the next 12 hours, I'll probably come up with another big thing. And a lot of these things do come to fruition. It's not like ideas and then they never get implemented. I actually follow through with a lot of these things. A lot of things fail and a lot of things succeed. And I'm always aiming for that next big thing. I got a user that messaged me, I think it was last night. Their name was Alan, I'm looking it up, Alan Moyle. And their question to me was, I'm going to paraphrase it. It was something like, since you seem to brag, and they weren't saying this in a bad way. They actually were being nice about it. But since you brag about your negotiating skills, if you were to move to LA, how long do you realistically think it would take you to start making $27 to $29 an hour? My initial response to him was 15 minutes, because I wouldn't move to LA unless I had something secured. And then I told him, honestly, it would take me, I think, about a month. If that was my goal, to make 27 to 29 an hour, I think it would take me about a month to land a job that pays that much. And you may ask yourself, well, how? And this is what I've come up with. I don't know where I've heard this, but it stuck with me for a good part of my life. If I were to ask you, what is the quickest way to become a millionaire? Right? Just take a moment there and think about it. What is the quickest way to become a millionaire? A lot of you guys would say, well, you probably get into the stock market. I don't know, maybe try to purchase real estate and then flip houses. Some of you might even be as daring enough to say, play the lottery. I'll get a lot of answers. But do you know what the quickest way to become a millionaire is? It's just to borrow $1 million. Right? You can work for the next 25 years, set aside money after paying your bills, and in roughly 25 years, if you got a decent job, you will have in your savings account $1 million. And I'm talking United States here. I know I might have some folks from other countries, and that may not seem, that may not be feasible in other countries. $1 million, there's no jobs that pay that much. You'd have to be pretty creative to come up with that. But realistically, in 25 years, yes, you can save $1 million if you have a decent job and you're pretty frugal with things. Or you can just come up with a business plan, hit up a ton of banks and say, hey, I've got this idea, right? I need $1 million to make it a reality. You're going to get rejected. You're going to get rejected so much that you're going to refine the way you approach these banks. And you're going to say, okay, well, last time they told me, well, your idea sounds great, but you don't have this. So then the next bank, you're going to go up to them and say, hey, so this is what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to do this, and that. And you're going to remember why the last bank rejected you. And you're going to say, oh, yes, and then I'm going to do this. And that bank's going to be a little bit more impressed than the last bank. And they're going to say, wow, that really sounds like a good plan. I talked to my finance manager, and he said, unfortunately, he cannot give you the $1 million, but he can offer you $500,000. And then you'll say, well, why not the full $1 million? And they'll say, well, it's because you don't have this. And you're like, okay, so if I had this, then you would have loaned me $1 million? Yes. So then you go to another bank and you solicit them for the $1 million, and you throw all those little intricacies out there, including what that one bank told you that you were missing, and you ask them for $1 million. And eventually some bank will say, you know what? yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Sounds like you've got all your ducks lined up. Here, sign on a dotted line. Here's $1 million. And guess what? You've become an instant millionaire. And some of you will say, well, it's not really your money. You borrowed it. Doesn't matter. You have $1 million to play with now. You are a millionaire. And yes, you will have to repay it at some point, but you are a millionaire. Or you can take the long beaten path and say, well, I'm just going to set aside money, and 25 years from now, I should have enough. So if you're 25 years old right now, by the time you're 50, you'll have that $1 million that you've accrued. Or you could try to borrow money from banks for the next year, right? You're 25. By the time you're 26, you would have achieved that goal. And that's the same with when you're in the security industry looking for a job that pays $27 to $29 an hour. Rather than starting at a company that pays you $14 an hour and then every year you get a 50 cents an hour raise, I would rather search until I find something that pays $27 to $29 an hour, and it might take me a month or two of making phone calls 2 hours a day, but I'll get to that $29 an hour goal way quicker than that person that started at 14 and is making 50 cents an hour, if that makes sense. So there you go. I hope that answered your question. Thought I would throw out a little video today. Yeah, I had something else to say, but I don't entirely remember. Anyways, guys, so we know our worth. We know our value. Value your time. But above all, be safe.